Welcome back, Knuckleheads. This is episode 40-something of the Beefy Boys Bud Club. I'm Joe, and I'm joined here with Vito.
What's up?
Christian.
Oh, derp.
And returning, kind of,
Ish,
guest,
kinda.
Joe, a.k.a. Ptaz.
Yeah, just go ahead. I'm Ptaz for this entire podcast, so
There we
there's
go.
no confusion.
Yeah.
He's back.
I'm
Trader
back.
Joe's.
Trader
Yeah.
Joe's, huh? Okay.
Well, I mean, seeing that we had so much content on that one episode that you were in here, I'm sure we're able to muster something up here.
We can do a rehash, a review.
Yeah,
We got
for
it.
sure.
Oh,
I'm
Callback.
totally happy to make all the listeners mad because I'm gonna call Ocarina of Time the most overrated Zelda game again.
We're getting straight into it. Yeah, we might as well get right into the
Spoilers.
Zeldas.
Jeez.
I mean, okay, it is the Legend of Zelda series is my most favorite video game series of all time.
Mhm.
Right.
I was like a Link for Halloween when I was in 5th grade.
Dork.
Granted, I'm a dork. Proud of it. But let me say this, man, that sucked when I went trick-or-treating because everybody thought I was Peter Pan. What the hell? Didn't anybody give you a Game Boy or an N64
jeez.
when you were a kid or Nintendo Entertainment System?
I mean,
feel
did you
like
have
the-
like the
I feel like
sword and the
difference
shield?
is
or-
the sword and the shield would be the difference.
I mean,
because,
they both wear a green tunic, sure.
because Peter Pan has a tiny sword, and then
It's like a dagger, yeah.
Link's got a
the
full-on
Master
sword.
Sword.
The
Yeah,
Hylian
probably
crest on the
helped,
shield
actually.
would really stand out.
And you know, I'm sure back when you were dressing as Link, that was back in the days when you can actually like use prop weapons for your costumes. Now you can't be doing that
Yeah.
shit, or else
And,
you're just
the
gonna
thing
get
is that
in trouble.
back then, I don't think they sold official Link costumes and Mario costumes, which they do now.
Yeah, the abundance
so-
of costumes that they have now is nuts.
Yeah, and now it's like, back then, it's like have to buy like a Link hat somebody made out of a green pillowcase on eBay. So,
That is pretty awesome.
I mean,
that
it's
you were able
pretty
to pull
funny.
that
It's
together.
not even
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
right shade of green. It's like a
I think
green
it's
man
something
suit
else.
green.
Yeah.
Vito and I were talking about going as orcs this year for
You and
Nice.
Vito?
for
Orcs?
Halloween.
Like, what kind of orcs? Like
I'm talking like Lord of the Rings orcs.
MMO orcs?
Nice.
So like paint our bodies like weirdly grayish green.
Nice. Have you guys ever been to a Comic-Con and done
I've been to
cosplay?
ECCC. I haven't done cosplay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I did Aragorn.
Okay, nice, yeah.
I've never dressed up for cosplay, but I went to Sakura Con
Oh, SoccerCon, yeah.
because
I've
I
been there.
had to work it for an event, and so I thought it was like one of the coolest things,
Yeah.
like working that. And then that was when I picked up the shift for Comic-Con, and I went and worked that
ECC,
shift.
yeah.
Oh, dude,
ECCC.
It's wild, yeah.
I,
It's
so
I
much,
tried to.
it's so much fun to see
Yeah.
everybody dress up.
And my fiance also one year did Rose Quartz from Steven Universe.
Okay.
And another year did Roadhog from Overwatch.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
Gender bent,
jeez.
obviously.
Yeah.
Well, this talk of video games translates nicely to the surprise I have for today.
Oh boy!
So,
Surprise.
I came up with this idea yesterday. You know how we always do Christian's Final Fantasy Quiz of the Week?
Yeah.
We're turning this into a game. So I brought a trophy.
All right.
Okay. So I have prepared a short quiz.
Soccer.
One for Christian, that's all MMO and Final Fantasy themed, and one for Vito, that's all football themed. Whoever scores more points wins the trophy. Okay?
I like that. That's good.
Is that like some trophy you won for soccer when you were a kid? And
I
then,
bought
like, you
this
don't
at
need
the
it
thrift
anymore?
store for like $1.
Okay, so it's
It's a
some
woman.
random
This is a
kid's
woman
trophy.
soccer player. I don't think it's real marble on the bottom either. It's heavy though. All right.
That's funny.
So who wants the first question?
Shoot.
Okay, Vito. How many teams are there in the NFL?
12?
12 is incorrect. Now I'm going to let Christian have a chance to steal, and you'll have a chance to steal all his Final Fantasy questions. So, Christian, how many teams are there in the NFL?
32.
There are 32 teams in the NFL.
way
That's
off.
correct. You were way off. Okay, Christian.
You're thinking XFL, bud.
When you're
I think
talking
that's 8.
when you're talking about an MMO, what does the term DPS stand for?
Oh. DPS?
Yeah. I gave both these quizzes to Ara this morning, and she got about half of them. So that's what we're working with, okay?
Dude, I don't know. I can't even
He has no
guess
clue.
what those. Yeah.
Vito, chance to steal.
Damage per second.
That's correct.
God damn
Damage per second.
Otherwise
That's
known as
correct.
dicks per second.
All right, Christian, we'll go next to you. Okay. In Final Fantasy, there is a classic enemy that looks like a cactus with a smiley face on it. This is a two-part question. What is that enemy called, and what is its signature move?
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah. How fuck? So you said it's a cactus-like?
It looks like a cactus with a smiley face. Yep.
I'm gonna go with a.
Did you come up with this question because you were playing Blue Mage?
Maybe.
I'm gonna go with cacti, and his special attack is don't touch it, spikes.
Incorrect on both counts.
Also kind of close,
guesses.
though.
You're close, yeah.
Cactuar, 1,000 Needle.
Yep, that's
Oh,
correct.
come on!
Cactuar.
You guys are close enough.
And we might end up in a tie since everybody seems to get
The steals.
the steals, yeah. Okay. That's fine.
God damn it.
All right, Vito.
Yeah.
Who was the winner of the last Super Bowl? And who was the loser? It's only 6 months ago.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Are you passing?
I would like to answer.
Oh, yeah,
this
I remember
question,
the
sir.
name of one of the ones that might have been is Patriots.
Or, yes, that's true. That's yeah.
Oh, shit.
Who was the loser?
No, I have no idea.
Christian.
Rams.
That's true. Okay, so
So we got
God
half
damn
a-
it,
half
Vito!
a
I didn't think you were
Rams.
gonna get that one.
Patriots and Seahawks are like the only two teams I know.
Okay.
Yeah. it's 'cause we
Next
talk about
next
Tom
question for Vito. What does the acronym YAC or YAC stand for when talking about football? I wanted to do all acronyms, but I couldn't come up with enough football acronyms, so I only did one per. Oh my god, this is my favorite segment ever. These questions aren't that hard.
Youth Athletic Cup.
Youth Athletic Cup. Exactly. Christian.
Antonio Brown's got a good youth athletic yards after catch.
That's correct. Yards after catch. It's a measure of how far a receiver gets after catching the ball.
Hit me with the Final Fantasy. I am ready.
You're ready.
I'm fucking ready.
Okay. Final Fantasy is famous because even though there's 15 numbered games in the series, their stories are totally disparate. Except there's one character who has appeared in every single numbered Final Fantasy game. What is his name?
Is it the blonde dude?
Can you be more specific? I need a
Blonde
name.
anime-looking guy.
The blonde
anime-looking guy.
the blonde
Anime-looking guy.
anime-looking guy with the big sword. Like
I
huge
think you're
sword.
talking about Cloud Strife, and that is incorrect.
Okay.
Vito? You don't know the answer?
Uh-oh.
Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Does it have to be like a human?
It is a human in
Oh,
this
okay,
instance.
'cause, I mean, I was gonna. Never mind. Don't listen to me.
We're gonna say Moogle.
Yeah,
I mean,
was.
Moogles, so
That was my
Moogles
first
have
thought.
appeared everywhere. So have Chocobos, but that's not what I meant. Every Final Fantasy game since number 1 has had a character named Sid.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every
I was
single
never
one.
really into Sid, so like I kind of knew that, but it was nowhere near the top of my brain.
This is the chance for me to pull ahead.
Well, Vito's ahead right now because he actually got
The Patriots.
The
The football
Patriots.
question.
Shit.
Yeah. Actually,
Come back.
you're ahead
Get on my
because
level.
yeah, he's ahead by 1 point. Okay. Okay.
Give him another two-parter.
Well, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Oh.
In Final Fantasy VII, there are 2 optional characters you can recruit. What are their names? Vito knows this one. I see it on his face.
No, I don't.
Oh, come on! You said this was your favorite one, man.
I don't
It's
even
not
know.
Cloud Strife. I'll
I don't
tell you
even
that
know,
right
like-
now.
It's literally been like 10 years since I played the game at least.
I like
15
don't even
years.
know which direction to even guess in these names. Like the only names I have in my head are like fucking orc names. So like Orgrim and fucking like Barbara.
Barbara and Orgrim is
Barbara.
incorrect.
But no, if I were to take a swing at it, I'm gonna say fuck. Dude, I don't even know how to guess these names. There's Sid, and then there's like Sick. There's Sick.
Sid and Sick.
I don't know.
Incorrect.
Fuck. Vito.
Vito?
I literally I think one of them was the dog character, but I can't remember his name.
Are you speaking of Red 13?
Yeah.
The Native American Red Lion character?
Yeah.
No, that's not correct. The answer is Yuffie, the teenage ninja, and Vincent the vampire.
Yep. Nope. No idea.
Not even Vito was able to get
I
that
know.
one.
Okay, we're down to the last two questions. So, Vito, you're up. And currently, Christian has 3 points and Vito has 4. So, Vito, rather, in football, there are many, many ways to score points. One of the weirdest ways is a safety. What is a safety and how many points is it worth?
No idea. Not even like just nothing. Just
Do you know how
fucking,
many points it's worth?
Nope. Just nothing.
Take a random guess.
4.
Incorrect.
Good
Christian.
try. Good effort.
2 points,
Yes.
and you get those 2 points by the football going out of bounds on the. It's hard for me to describe it without it sounding wrong, but if the offense is up and the ball goes out of bounds in their end zone, or they get tackled in their end zone, 2 points for the defense.
That is correct. If the ball fails to cross the goal line before it is ruled down by contact or out of bounds,
Or
that is 2
fumbled.
points for the
Yeah.
safety. For the opposing team. And they also get the ball back. Okay, Christian, do you need this one, or Vito has a chance to steal and win? And Vito, I know you know the answer to this question. So in an MMO, when we talk of the Holy Trinity, there are 3 parts.
Oh, I do know this one.
One of them we've already discussed, the DPS, damage per second, that's 1 part. What are the other 2 parts? You don't know. You have no
He's giving
idea.
that stoic look again.
Mana,
Okay.
fucking health.
Mana, health, and DPS. Is incorrect.
I think you're going down the wrong.
I'm confused. Yeah.
So it's,
So there's
it
a
has
holy
to do
trinity.
with
So there's
the
deep.
it's the holy trinity of like character types.
party composition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not like stats.
Oh fuck. But damage per second.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Quantifies one of them. Yeah.
Do you guys have? Fuck. Do you guys have yards after tackle?
No.
I'm fucking lost. I have no idea which route to go down on this question. I mean, the one thing I could say, DPS, and I don't know, armor. Fucking how much armor you have? Help me.
That's close.
Magic.
Kind of.
How much
Sort of.
magic? How much armor? How much strength?
Well, I already told you it's not stats. You're already thinking of stats. again.
I'm right back to it, man.
All right. Vito.
So it's DPS, tank, and healer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the guy who takes the blows, the guy who does the blows, and the guy who recovers us from the blows.
The DPS classes do the damage. The tank takes the hits, and the healer heals everybody. The Holy Trinity.
See, I didn't think DPS was a class. I thought that was
It's a
like
class archetype.
Yeah, it's
Because-
an archetype, not an actual class.
Yeah.
because in like for instance Fallout 4, which I'm playing right now, DPS is damage on the weapon.
Yes.
Like how much damage your weapon does when you shoot it.
Yeah.
Like especially those electronic guns.
DPS classes
The laser weapons?
focus entirely on DPS
you
over
see it.
everything else.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So with the
Throw
score,
Vito
with
one
a
more.
final
Come on, throw
score
Vito one
of
more
6 to
football
5, Vito is the champion. Congratulations. I could add in one more if you want, I suppose. And I know
I
my
mean there was a
football questions.
like 2 Final Fantasy questions I had no idea
I
about.
know.
So
I can't believe the character names. Sid, really? That's everybody knows that.
well, I knew that, but it wasn't in the forefront of my mind. It wasn't like a memorable part of Final Fantasy for me.
Here, take your trophy, man. I'll leave it right here.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
I'm sad.
Bring it back next week, or when I remember to do this again. This is hilarious. Ara got that question right on safeties, which I thought was hilarious. Oh wait, I do have another. I'm sorry, I missed one for Vito.
Oh
shit.
Fucking controversy, dude.
Yeah, because they've asked all those, and I should have just asked them in order. It's my fault. Oh well. So one more. So Christian might actually be able to steal this.
Yeah, you probably will. It's a football question.
It is a football question. It's a 2-point football question too, which means
Ooh.
chance to steal, man. Vito. 2 teams are tied for having won the most Super Bowls. Who are they?
Well, I definitely know that one of them is the Patriots because I always hear about them winning.
That's
constantly.
correct. That also means that Christian can't catch up. But do you know the other team? This is another question that Arik surprised me by getting correct this morning, by the way. I'm gonna
Trying
pass
to
it.
think of team names.
You said you know the
know.
Seahawks. It's not the Seahawks.
Yeah, I know. I know that it's not the Seahawks, which is why I'm just like I can't think of other team names.
All
I
right.
actually want to
I
hear him.
think I
guess.
know.
I want to say like fucking I don't know, New York.
Which
No.
one?
I don't. Wait, what? There's more.
Two teams in New York.
Yep. Fuck.
Can I try guessing the other team? I think I
Sure.
know.
Sure.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
It is the Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
6 Super Bowl
Right.
titles each.
Yep.
And
Yep, yep.
unfortunately, Seahawks both lost to.
Both those
Both of those.
Yeah.
teams.
All right. So Vito is still the champion
Both
with a
are
final score of
heartbreaking losses.
7-6.
Too.
Heartbreakers.
I mean,
Fuck
yeah.
yeah, dude.
7-6.
Except
so
I would
congrats.
rather a controversial win for the opposing team rather than seeing Russell Wilson throw the fucking interception
At the 1 yard line.
at the 1 yard line. I think that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to sit through in my fucking life.
And he's such a great, good person.
He
To have
had it.
something bad happen to a guy who's as wholesome as Russell Wilson is just painful to watch, man.
He had it too. It was a
Speaking
great,
of
it was a great play. It was a
wholesome
great drop.
sports stars, have any of you been watching Steph Curry's mini golf show?
I have not. He has a mini golf show.
Yeah, it's like
where is it?
you
Where do I
remember
see
that
this?
show Wipeout?
Yeah.
It's like that plus mini golf. Like
Okay.
they have to
haven't
go on
played
like
mini
zip
golf in
lines to do
forever.
mini golf and shit. There's one where it's like a chipping contest between Steph Curry and a robot. It's absurd. It's on Hulu. I mean, it's on Fox,
Who
but
won,
it's on
Steph
Hulu.
Curry or the robot?
Usually, Steph Curry gets closer than the robot.
Usually, I like it.
Yeah. That means they didn't program their robot right.
There's also a hole where it's just like a 15-foot straight putt, except they try and distract you. So, like in one episode, just Kenny G is playing the saxophone in your ear the whole time.
That's great.
The saxophone.
Yeah,
I might need to watch this.
it's called
I have absolutely
it's
nothing
called
better to
Holy
do.
Moly.
Holy
Weren't
moly.
you-
Okay.
I think the last time you were in here, we were
Yeah.
talking about a show that he was referring to where you have to stay up for 24
Oh,
hours.
awake.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that like a
Random
Japanese
tests.
game?
It's a game show on Netflix where you have to stay up for 24 hours counting quarters, and then you have a chance to win however many quarters you counted. Except then they make you perform like basic, everyday tasks that you are really bad at.
I feel like I've seen a lot of Japanese game shows that are just like really weird but also
Obscure.
interesting. Yeah, like
Yeah.
obscure.
I just like the
Definitely.
clips on YouTube. Like the
Yeah,
guys
that's what I'm
in-
saying. Is I usually just watch like YouTube clips when I.
What do
I
you
see
call
them.
those like Green Man suits or whatever? But like they're in those like full body colored suits trying to climb up a Vaseline staircase.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. That's funny. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the show MXC?
Yeah.
MX.
It's basically Wipeout.
It's
the
like
same-
Wait, no.
yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have seen that. Yeah.
the original Wipeout.
Yeah.
Dude, that show was fucking great.
I don't know what
Is that
either
the
of
one
the
where they
shows are.
added like the
The dub
combo?
It was
over
the
dub.
the
That's
dub,
great. I remember
dub,
watching
yeah.
that when I was like in
So
elementary
it's based
school.
on
Yeah.
a Japanese game show. I think it's called like Togarashi's Castle or something that's been airing forever. And this was a show on like Spike TV where they would take the Japanese track and dub over it with complete nonsense. So you still get to see the people like it's basically like these giant obstacle courses for adults. But like, you know, like there's like a big spinning fan blade that's covered in foam that'll knock you into a pond like hard. So like that's the appeal because people just eat shit the whole time.
Dude, the
Like,
coolest
like
thing
that
about
gif
that was
of the one like kid doing the thing with like the big spinning thing and then like getting hit like three times as it passes over.
Yeah. It's more like you
like
ever
a
go on
meme.
like those inflatable obstacle courses, like when you're in high school and stuff.
No.
Imagine if. Oh well, okay.
when I was living in Japan, we actually went to a theme park that was based off of like those obstacle course games.
Yeah.
So you'd go there and you'd do like the whole park. You'd start at the beginning and you would go through the entire park. Dude, some of those were so much fun. Some of those were really hard, but they were a lot of fun. Like you do the log run, like when you walk on the log that spins.
Yeah.
And then they eventually you got to the point where there was a pond.
Okay.
People were falling into
Yeah.
the pond. Dude, it was
Where
nuts.
in Japan is this? Because I'm going to Japan with some friends.
I
at
wish
the
I
end of the month.
remembered.
Yeah.
I'll ask. I'll
Okay.
ask my my stepmom, so I can get back to you
Okay,
on that
cool.
one.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of fun, dude.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
They had like log
yeah.
platforms, like
Yeah.
over, like it went like across the pond, but every time you would step on one, it would like sink.
Yeah.
But the deeper you got out, the quicker they sank, and like the quicker that they would sink,
Yeah. Oh boy.
the harder it was to like keep moving.
All right.
So
yeah.
that was the one that everybody was eating shit on, and then getting dunked in the
Falling
drink.
into the pond. Yeah.
Yep.
Japan is
Sounds
like
like
the number
fun.
one place I want to go to. It's just
So much
awesome.
fun, dude.
I heard about this animal sanctuary where they have these like sacred deer that they don't kill, and they've gotten them used to humans, so you can feed them cookies.
Oh, cool.
Except the deer are so used to the humans, they're fucking assholes. They'll like kick you in the face if you don't give them the cookie fast enough.
There's also like a place kind of by the water, like where they've got like wild monkeys
Oh yeah.
swing on trees, and they like love the beer bread that they have. So it's like the little, Mexican like conchas, that sweet bread, where it's got
Yeah.
like that sugary stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So the Japanese have one that's like that, where it's like a sugary bread, but the frosting is like beer. So
That's
it's like
cool.
it's like
So
a
these-
sweet beer
yeah,
frosting.
yeah.
The monkeys
And these
fucking,
monkeys love that.
they love that shit. And so, unfortunately, when we were driving through there, we didn't have the pleasure of seeing any of these monkeys. We just heard all the tales. But dude, Japan's a fucking great place. You're gonna love
Yeah,
it.
my friends and I are going to. We're flying into Osaka, and then we're going to Tokyo, and then someplace else I forget.
Osaka,
But,
Osaka's rad, dude.
Speaking of Japan, there's a Final Fantasy XIV Eorzea Cafe.
Wait,
where
what?
they have
Really?
in Tokyo.
where they have yeah, I don't remember where
all
exactly.
the
but
waitresses dressed as Mikote.
where maybe, but I don't remember that part. But they have like the food and the drinks are based off of
Okay.
Final Fantasy XIV.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they have like all the decorations and stuff are all based off of Final Fantasy XIV.
That's
You got to go to
pretty awesome.
Kyoto, man.
I think we might, because I know we're gonna take a bullet train. in
Yeah, the
Japan,
bullet
we
train-
might go
dude, the
to
bullet train's-
Kyoto, yeah,
Fucking rad.
it's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Getting
Should be
from
cool.
Tokyo to Osaka in like 2 hours is fucking
That's what's
I just
nuts,
want to go
dude.
to
Yeah.
Tokyo, man.
Um,
I know all the like ancient temples and shit are in Kyoto, and it's supposed to be beautiful. But I just want to go hang out in Akihabara. 'Cause
there's
I'm
like
such
a there's like
fucking
a
weeb.
movie
Yep.
park. There's a movie park in Kyoto where they filmed like a lot of those old samurai shows
Okay,
and
yeah.
like samurai movies. We
Yeah.
went there too, and that was you remember the movie? Tom Cruise is the last.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know that movie. I've never seen it actually. I've seen parts of it.
Like,
but I know what you're
man.
talking
a lot
about.
of the casting, like a lot of the cast that they had for that movie, hang out in that park, and they
Cool.
they hang out with the guests. They put on shows there,
Okay.
and then they that's where they filmed like some of the parts from that movie. So it was pretty cool going and seeing that. But Kyoto's a beautiful place. Osaka's beautiful. And then yeah, of course, there's like Hiroshima and shit, which
Yeah.
is like the spookiest thing I've ever had to see in my fucking life. I was
So-
10 years old going through a museum about a goddamn nuclear bomb.
I just
Yeah,
keep thinking of the
that'd
South
be
Park
creepy.
episode. It's the whales and dolphins dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. That's why we have to kill them all. And the Americans are like, "Yep, it was definitely dolphins."
Yeah, dude, that place was spooky.
Yeah.
I just came up with a brilliant idea, Vito and Christian. So, I have a cherry tree in my yard, and for like 2 days, when it's just windy enough, the blossoms are falling off, and you feel like a samurai. So we need to do a photo shoot with my machete, standing in the cherry blossom.
You'll have to put your hair up, dude. You'll have to get the shogun.
Top knot, yeah,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Or even just get like one of those plastic katana swords that you can get for like $2
Yeah.
down Chinatown or something.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what's up.
Dude, fuck yeah.
I have a running joke with Ara that I'm gonna one day buy a bunch of like a katana and a wakizashi and put it on the wall as decorative swords. And she's like, "No, we're not having any swords in the house." And then I bought a machete to deal with some yard work. She's like, "That's the only sword you're allowed to have. No swords." It's like a running joke that one day I'm gonna show up with like 12 katanas.
Swords are sweet. I can actually see Vito with like one of those like ginormous,
Final
Fucking-
Fantasy swords.
maybe not the Final Fantasy
The
swords, but I'm
replica?
thinking like the big like knight swords. Like, God, I can't remember.
Oh, I know what
like
you're
a
talking
claymore, like a
Claymore,
sword.
yeah.
a claymore.
Yeah.
Yes, Like one that like all those dudes filmed to cut water bottles in half and
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
like watermelons.
yeah.
Like
No way.
when I first got
There's-
to know Vito, I was like, this guy definitely cuts water bottles and watermelons on
If
his spare
Vito,
time.
if Vito was a medieval warrior, he would clearly be wielding a hammer or a battle axe. Look at this man.
That's true.
I'd say he's more of a battle axe guy.
Yeah.
Or just a really thick broadsword.
Yeah, like a two-handed great sword.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
sure.
Like a THICC
Thick sword.
thick sword.
Yeah, there's actually this person who used to be a welder who's like a smithy on like YouTube or something that does like fantasy and like sci-fi weapon recreations that are actually like usable, like they actually do damage and like are hardy.
I feel like I've seen that.
I've seen something like that.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
Like he was making like cloud sword
Yep.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and a bunch of other different like.
God, that would be the ultimate. If instead of showing up with like actual katanas, I started showing up with like fucking Sephiroth sword and cloud sword.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the first one you mentioned is a katana.
No way, but that's
It's
not a
just a
katana.
stupidly
it's a
long
20-foot long
katana.
katana.
Yeah.
Completely unwieldy.
Well, yeah, but still, this is really funny.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, I gotta do. So I think we did this the last time we recorded, but I gotta like put out 2 really good shows I saw that I highly recommend to anybody who's watching. One of them you may have heard. It's called Cherobyl, based off of Chernobyl.
Been meaning to watch that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, you got to get on that.
Well, so we're slowly working our way through Stranger Things season 3. As
Okay,
in,
same
Aura
here.
will watch 20 minutes and fall asleep. Season 3 is really good. Season 3 is really good.
Whack.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
It's really good.
Yeah,
It picks
same.
up.
Oh,
It's
it's
only
Season-
okay.
There's
yeah.
only 8 episodes. It picks
Yeah,
up
yeah.
fast.
Okay.
Season 2 is so fucking boring that I have
Season 2 is bad. Season 2
I have
is bad.
no
Yeah.
desire to watch season 3.
Season 3 is fun.
I just can't believe how good season 1 was. And then you get season 2, and holy shit, that was horrible, man. I could barely sit through it.
Plus, so
I finished it. But
listeners,
I wasn't happy I finished
if you want to know what my fiance looks like and kind of her personality, watch Stranger Things season 3 because she's essentially Max. They're basically the exact same person. Literally, that's what Aura was like as a teenager. She loved to skateboard.
I have no idea who Max is.
She's the redheaded girl.
redheaded girl.
Yeah. The one that looks like Aura. What are you
So
talking about?
descriptive, you guys. Thank you. It's like you just described.
There's only 2 girls in the whole show. It's not the one with the superpowers.
I mean,
It's
I'm
the
also
other
thinking
one.
about the redhead from Stephen King's shit.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about that girl too, and I'm confusing.
Well, they're
I'm
basically
for
the
some
same
reason
character,
thinking
too.
that same actress is in Stranger Things, even though she's not.
I can see the confusion.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Stranger Things season 3. This is a fun fact I learned recently. Robin, the girl who works in the ice cream shop,
Yeah.
that is
She's
Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter.
Uma Thurman, yeah.
Oh wow.
And she looks. Once you realize that, like, oh yeah, duh, she looks exactly
Yeah,
like
yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
So what's the other show you got?
Oh yeah, so Chernobyl, see it, HBO, one of the best things I've ever seen on TV. Super dark. The other one is Warrior, based off of Bruce Lee's writing. He was working on writing his own Western kung fu show. I think he was actually in the running to actually play the lead character in this show Kung Fu in the 70s, but they didn't want an Asian guy to play because they didn't think American audiences would be ready. So I think he was then working on his own show, something along those lines. But basically, decades later, his daughter Shannon Lee, Justin Lin's the director who directed a bunch of the Fast and the Furious movies. They teamed up to make this Western Kung Fu show, this dream project of Bruce Lee's, and it's just this badass show of these like Chinese gangsters in the late 1800s who are a part of a Tong, like rival Tong wars in the backdrop of like the Chinese Exclusion Act during the late 1800s, and lots of violence. It's got Joe Taslim from The Raid in it.
Yeah, that guy fucking rules.
Yeah, he's a badass. It's just a bunch of like badass kung fu and badass music and blood and a good storyline, and just see it, it's kick-ass.
Is that on
I highly
Netflix?
recommend. It's actually on Cinemax.
Cinemax. Oh, okay. So
We
it's,
did
it's
talk
on
about
like
this last time, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
on a movie channel, so it does
Yeah.
have like all the
Yeah, it's on a premium cable channel.
Tits and gore.
So
holds
I don't know if
no
there's any
yeah.
tits on it, but you know.
And the kung fu on is really cool too. I feel like they did a really good job with it because sometimes, I feel like I watch these martial arts movies, and sometimes the martial arts can almost seem, but almost like boring. Almost, it's like I'm not even sure derivative. Possibly, I'm not even sure if I used the term derivative in the right sense, but you get what I'm saying, right?
I do.
Yeah,
They're all the same. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah. But
You really want to see some crazy shit, man? You got to watch the Indonesians.
like
Those guys
the
are
raid.
The Raid. Those
Yeah.
guys are fucking changing.
That was a
it
really good
up.
movie.
The Raid Part 2 was like 2.5 hours of just like straight violence. But the all the violence in it is like hand-to-hand combat. Like, yeah, they'll have weapons like glass shards and knives and shit. But it's all, everybody knows how to fight in that movie. Like, all the extras can fight. The main actors are obviously like just nuts. And if you haven't watched it yet, it's a Netflix movie. It's actually banned in Indonesia. It's
Really?
the first Indonesian movie that Netflix has fully funded,
Uh-huh.
and it's banned in Indonesia because it's
Too violent.
yes, it is
why-
like
Wow.
I would say it's probably the most violent movie I've ever watched in my life, and it is over the top, but it's so beautifully shot, and everything is it's just so perfect, dude. It's called The Night Comes for Us.
I've
It's
seen some of
extremely
that.
violent, extremely bloody, and then the final fight is like 30 minutes.
Nice.
And it's just like dude, it's
Yeah.
fucking nuts.
Nonstop.
Oh, I loved it.
I-
It's one of my favorites.
I've seen the opening to that movie, and I agree with you. It is shot really good. I like the
Yeah.
cinematography and the lighting. It's very dynamic. And
I just love how the camera, like how they get the camera to follow these guys. Like when they're fighting, the camera is almost like doing the same movements as them, and it's super close up. I mean, there's
It's
so much I
great.
can get on with these,
Yeah.
but that's like one of my favorite like martial arts movies, and I think that as long as those guys are keeping up the standard, it's only gonna get better.
it's gonna get better. Yeah.
I agree with Ptaz on this one. They all just seem the fucking same to me. That's why I liked old Jackie Chan movies because they were so absurd.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna fight a guy with a fish.
Like
Like,
Rumble in the
okay.
Bronx.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just feel like sometimes these martial arts movies, shows, sometimes they can just see like, like it's the shots can be very stacked. Like, okay, we're gonna just have a basic shots of like, when you show this cool martial arts scene, so we're just gonna do like a static shot and a little bit of movement with the camera. I like types of martial arts movies, TV shows where the camera acts as almost as if like you're really in the fight. Like you can almost you can just feel rather
Where
than
there's
just like
there's a flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a flow.
Rather than it's like you're a bystander watching it.
Exactly.
It's more like following the character.
That's why I like.
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
why I like the Raid Part 1 so much because it's all in close quarters.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in those tiny hallway, like apartment hallways. So it's like
Yeah.
the camera has nowhere else to go but the
Yeah.
fight. So yeah,
I don't got any
Like, I
time
really
for
like-
these movies anymore
when
either.
he fucking grabs that dude's head and
just
like
bashes
jumps
into-
back and,
Oh, yeah.
and
Like,
stabs his neck
I
into
really
the door.
really like the Tony Jaa movies and
Ong Bak.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
Ombak was fucking sick.
So good, and like especially like on that point with the camera, love like I can't remember which movie it was, but there was like a chase scene,
I think
and during multiple parts of it or whatever, he would like jump on top and on top of the shoulders of people.
Yeah.
And then there was one where like he slid in between two panes of glass.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the first one, possibly.
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Tony Jaa was also the guy from The Protector, right? He was. They also used him in The Protector.
Maybe.
I think, because that movie was nuts. I remember when that
remember.
one came out, but I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
who was in it. I think it was Tony Jaa, but I don't want to say it is because I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yup.
But
You know what other? I think. Honestly, I think anime does. Sorry, I think anime does a really good job of doing martial arts fight scenes. At least from what I've seen, like
Yeah.
Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, even the Boondocks. I don't really consider the Boondocks to be straight up anime, but
One Punch
American.
Man. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Man.
Just kidding.
but I've actually never seen One Punch Man.
It's really
I need to
fun.
see it,
It's really
yeah.
good, but the whole premise is basically that the main character can defeat anybody in one punch.
Okay.
And so I was making kind of a joke because there's
This is only ever one
no,
punch. Yeah.
there's no real martial arts in it. It is kind of satire.
Yeah.
but it's like mostly comedy, I want to say, but it's
Okay.
also like really fun to watch.
Okay.
Like,
I
as
think
far as the action is too.
Should I watch My Hero Academia? Is it good?
Yeah, dude, I fucking binged the shit out of that every season.
Okay. Somebody told me the basic plot and it sounded interesting.
The deepest I've ever gone
It's just like really good.
into
Yeah.
anime
Quality.
was Inuyasha. You guys
I watched some of
remember
that.
Inuyasha.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
some of that. It was pretty good.
I watched the
I mean,
shit out of that
it's the
show.
stereotypical shonen anime where like
Yeah.
nothing will
Yeah.
happen for 10 episodes in a row. Okay.
Yeah, I used to chill on Saturdays and watch that shit.
I would watch a lot of the Pokemon anime and then the
Toonami was the
Yu-Gi-Oh
shit.
anime,
Same.
especially
Yeah.
the Yu-Gi-Oh
I've never
anime.
gotten to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Nah, I never got into
Yeah.
that.
I watched
shit.
a lot
So-
of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Here's a fun fact about Yu-Gi-Oh! The first season they never released in the United States, which
Oh.
explains how he got the Pharaoh power. But also, like 10 children die in that season, so
Wow.
it became a lot less murderous after
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I've always had like a fascination with like ancient Egypt and like Greek gods and like all that kind of like really cool like ancient stuff. And so one of the main reasons I got so into Yu-Gi-Oh is because they like incorporated
that,
all the
yeah.
ancient Egypt stuff.
Hey, speaking of ancient Egypt and stuff, I just did the. This is going to be our Final Fantasy tangent for the episode. I just did the dungeon where you fight like the mummy horde or whatever is the last boss. It's like a big pharaoh, and I literally spent half of that battle being turned into a mummy. Do you remember this one?
I don't remember.
There's like a wall of mummies that runs at you, and if they touch you, you become a mummy, and you can't control your character. You just run across the screen for 30 seconds or so, and anyone you touch also becomes
What
a
dungeon
mummy.
is that?
I forget. It was one of the hard modes, like Amdapor Keep or whatever. Whatever one is supposed to be like.
You know what? That
fake
might
Indiana
be
Jones.
one of the dungeons I never did because
Oh.
it's a hard mode. Cause,
I'm trying to knock 'em all out.
I started unlocking them, but I'm like so high level. I do it unsynced and just fucking smash
just
through
plow
it for the
through.
quest.
Well, zippity doo dah to you, sir.
Yeah. This week's podcast brought to you by the Beefy Boys, three cool dudes hanging out talking about music, video games, and sports, and anything else that hits our fancy.
Yeah, check them out at www.beefyboys.com or on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you love their logo, you can buy their merch, www.cafepress.com/beefyboysmerch1.
And oh, baby, you know you're going to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Find us on Twitter at beefy_boys. And you can find us on Instagram at officialbeefyboys because it is official. Make us blue check marked, keep following us. And you can find us on Facebook at the Beefy Boys. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Beefy. A good podcast requires a good beer. So that's why I always go to my go-to, Keystone Light. If I'm going to the store, I don't want to buy a 12-pack. I want to go for a legit 15-pack. When I go to a party, I don't take Rainier. I take Keystone Light. And you know what? It tastes so good, I'm going to have it right now. Cheers, folks. Yeah, there's a burp coming in. That's good. So, Joe, I got a question to ask
Yeah,
you. Or
go ahead.
Ptaz, I got a question to ask you.
Go ahead.
So,
There's 3 Joes in this room right now, if you count the camel.
yeah, the camel.
Joke.
Joe Cool, Ptaz,
yeah.
and Joe.
Not
Jogan.
We might be able to do this after whatever Christian was going to talk about, but I wanted to sort of bring up last time we talked about how you got your nickname, and so maybe we could do that again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, the question I have for you is, so we were just discussing, like, Asian cinema.
Yeah.
So the reason why you're, because you stated last episode. I know, this is a quick review for the folks that unfortunately weren't able to hear our conversation.
So
last
everyone
time.
except the 3 of us.
Was
Yeah.
you're going to Atlanta
Yeah, that's the plan.
instead of Hollywood or
Yes.
instead of
Instead
LA,
of LA.
for
Film. for
Also,
main-
you're an
film and
actor,
acting.
director,
Writer, producer.
so-
Mainly actor and screenwriter.
you might want to start with that first.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. I forgot.
Yeah, I've been acting, taking it seriously since I was a sophomore in high school, and then so I did a lot of theater, and then went to Shoreline Community College, got my AA, took a lot of acting and film classes, and then when I was 21, I got signed to my first talent agency, Topo Swope, and then around 18, kind of towards the end of junior year, senior years, when I started to get into the idea of writing. Well, actually, I should say that, so when I was 17, because I'm talking about how I got into writing, because that's another one of my really big passions. And if you're an actor, I tell all my actor friends, I highly recommend you get into writing, because I will say, like, don't wait for it to happen, make it happen. But I think that just goes for anything in life. Would you guys agree that, like,
Yes.
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead
Oh,
and
yeah.
make it? Like, you guys were like, let's just start our own podcast, rather than be like,
Yeah.
well, let's just wait for maybe somebody to invite us on the podcast.
It's just
or-
like,
yeah.
especially for creative stuff like that, with the rise of YouTube and all that, everything
Yeah.
is just so easy, you know?
Yeah, with internet, yeah.
Like when I decided I wanted to write my book of manatee jokes, I just did it and I self-published it, and I've made hundreds of dollars off that stupid book.
There you go. Good job.
Yeah, so it's like, so if you're an actor and you get
Yeah.
into screenwriting, does it make it like easier to kind of get into the groove of what, like, let's say a screenwriter wants the actor to do? Does it kind of help you get an understanding of that?
I think it gives you more insight in terms of when you learn. It helps you get. I think it helps you understand. Maybe perspectives from a screenwriter. I always say, like, if you're an actor, don't just be an actor. Also, try dabbling in other parts of film production, just so you have a more broad understanding.
Yeah.
But I got into writing because, I got, at the time, and things have gotten a lot better for Asian American actors in terms of, opportunity. I mean, look at what Crazy Rich Asians did. Look at, Glenn on The Walking Dead. Look at so many other examples nowadays. But, when I was in middle school and high school, we didn't really have that. More often than not, usually the Asian guy was regulated to, like, the nerd, who was, like, not romantic in any sort of way. Just super nerdy.
It's kind of like a backseat role.
Yeah,
The Asian
yeah.
American actor or the Asian actor.
Yeah, or they'd be the cool kung fu guy, but then they would never have, like, rarely would they have, like, a romantic interest, and that can get, like, limiting. You never want to feel like you're limited, something like that, or they're just like, or a lot of times they would have, like, an Asian story, and then they would try to not have an Asian actor in it instead.
The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. And I'm not saying there aren't times when it's okay to have, somebody who's not Asian in a more Asian story, I guess. But at the time, it was happening so much, where it's like, holy crap, dude! Like, maybe it's a little too much. But so I figured I wanted to get into writing because I was like, well, I want to be that type of leading man, but, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like, is somebody just going to give me a chance? Like, it's already hard enough. And then junior year of high school, two big things happened. First of all, I did an audition for this Paramount Pictures movie called Fun Sized, where they were doing a nationwide casting call for Asian American actors for one of the lead roles in that movie, who is teenagers. So I was like, perfect, let me do it. So I spent my entire midwinter break with my dad going over this self-tape audition, working on it every day. I had a lot of fun doing it, and then we sent it in. We weren't expecting anything, and then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I got a call back for them saying, we really liked your audition, we like the choices, here's some notes. I remember, like, opening the email and not expecting anything, and then seeing, like, this email from the casting director who had, like, casted for CSI and the Scream movies, and he was like, hey, Joe, how's it going? We really like your choices. And I was like,
Shit.
what is this? Like, I was like, hey, Dad, I think I got an email from this casting director. Like, he was like, well, what's it say? Does it say, like, thank you for auditioning? And, if the casting director doesn't want you, they just don't get back to you at all. But I didn't know that at the time. So I just thought they might give me some sort of, like, courtesy email, like, thank you or something. So I was reading it to my dad. I was like, it says, like, they want me to do another self-tape. And that was, like, this moment. I was like, oh, shit, like, I actually did a good acting job. That's great. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And then on top of that, I saw one of the Fast and Furious movies, Fast 5, because I wanted to see it because it had, like, Justin Lin and Sung Kang in it. I was like, all right, I'm going to go support, Asian Americans in film. I started looking more into Vin Diesel. Turns out Vin Diesel's biracial, actually. He's half white, half black, and some others. He's some other stuff as well. I can't remember exactly, but when he was, well, my age, in his 20s, in New York City, he was a struggling actor, and he had a lot of trouble getting acting roles because casting directors would tell him, "Oh, you're too light or too dark." So he made his own short film about that experience called Multifacial. You can find it on YouTube. And it
This
got
is a Vin Diesel short film?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he did a really good job with it. He starred in it, acted in it, produced it, directed it, and it went to the Cannes Film Festival. And then a few years later, Steven Spielberg saw it and was like, "I really liked your short film. Let me cast you in Saving Private Ryan." And that was kind of his...
He was in Saving... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
He
in Saving
was.
Private Ryan. He was the first guy to die.
Well,
Well, I mean, well...
as opposed to the fucking
Yeah.
300 dudes we saw get their heads shot off when the boats came. I wouldn't say he was the first one to die.
in
I
the
think,
group, to
in
go
the-
look for Ryan, he was the first to die.
Was he really?
Yeah. In
thought
the
somebody-
group, in the search party.
I thought somebody else in the search party died before him, but I guess I need to watch that movie again. I do tend to watch that movie at least once a year.
It's a really good movie.
It's a fucking great
Very
movie. man.
disturbing.
It's dark.
Yeah. But
It's not like, Schindler's List dark, but it's, World War II is not
Yeah.
an easy subject for folks.
But yeah, so one of my high school acting mentors in senior year gave him a book called Save the Cat, which really introduced me to like structure and how to get screenwriting. That I started to take it more seriously at the end of my freshman year of college, and then I started just like researching how to do screenplays and stuff on the internet and stuff, and then I have my awesome screenwriting and acting teacher, John Jacobson, who's great, I'm now working on my first feature film screenplay. But that's what I've done. But I do plan on moving probably heavily leaning towards Atlanta as opposed to LA.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was going to be my next question.
Sorry, that's a
was-
long-winded answer.
Well, that's always good, I
Yeah.
mean, we've never had like an actor, screenwriter, director on the show, so it's good to get like a good insight on something that we don't,
Hey,
normally.
man, I was in a play in high school.
I mean, yeah, I was in a play in middle school, but
I played a homeless guy with a really bad Brooklyn
I was in the
accent.
pit band in high
It
school.
was a terrible
Nice.
Brooklyn accent.
so, I mean, of course,
But yeah.
everybody's going to wonder because not everybody's familiar with the difference between
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta movie studio and L.A. Usually,
Yeah.
when folks hear you're going to go into the movies, it's
LA.
I'm going to go to L.A. And obviously, there's a lot of people that, a lot of people we went to school with that went to L.A. to do movies and they ended up doing porn. So technically, they're still in
I know who you're
movies,
talking about.
just a whole different kind of movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
Oh,
not only
geez.
is that hilarious, but that seems to be like the one go route for
Yeah.
like kind of like not I don't want to say amateurs, but like people who aren't established before getting to LA. I feel like if you go to LA to establish yourself, you're going to end up sleeping in your car like half the people that go to LA to
It's
establish
tough
themselves.
down there, yeah.
It's a tough business there. So
yeah.
why Atlanta over LA?
Well, I'm heavily leaning towards Atlanta, and John Jacobson, if you're listening to this, he really wants me to move to LA. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm probably moving to Atlanta in a year. But anyways, the reason why is because, first of all, I should give some backstory. So about 10 years ago, Atlanta said, you know what, we want a big film industry here, so we're going to give productions a big tax incentive. It's kind of more like a rebate. Basically, come here, bring a bunch of film crews and stuff, and then you have them stay in our Atlanta hotels and eat at Atlanta restaurants and hire crew from Atlanta. Then we'll give you back a certain amount of money. And so in Atlanta, it's like, I can't remember the exact number, but it's a little over a quarter. And that's a lot for a tax incentive. And so they've been having a lot of production coming to Atlanta. Like pretty much every Marvel movie is
yeah.
shot there.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, a lot, the TV show called Atlanta is shot in Atlanta.
That's always
Yeah.
that would be a
But-
bummer.
hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of movies, and they have Pinewood Studios down there. They have a bunch of studios. So in fact, last year I read an article that said Atlanta actually had more production in their city as opposed to LA, actually, just because of the tax incentives. Now, granted, Atlanta recently passed a controversial law called the Heartbeat Bill, which means I think it's after 6 weeks, maybe. I can't remember how many weeks it is. I can't remember, but it's preventing. They're trying to stop abortion, which has caused a lot of controversy with Hollywood.
Yeah, see, that's the danger.
Yeah. And so
Between that and like Carolina's bathroom ban, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we're just gonna leave this out alone.
yeah. So you've had a lot of productions already. Maybe not a lot of productions, but you have had some productions pull out. I think some Netflix shows have pulled out.
Yeah.
They've other studios have threatened to pull out. However, that being said, it's going to be taken to the Supreme Court, where it's actually unconstitutional. It goes against Roe versus Wade. So you never know. But from when I went to Atlanta a month ago to see a bunch of my friends who are actors down there, and they said, it's more likely than not to be struck down when it goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So it's more likely. So basically, it's more likely than not to happen. The Heartbeat Bill. So also on top of that, like the film industry in Atlanta is so big. Does Atlanta really want to risk losing that much of their economy? But I mean, the other thing is, look, when it comes to LA, Atlanta, or even New York, I know Albuquerque's on the rise, or if you're living in Canada, Vancouver,
Vancouver.
Toronto.
Vancouver's a big one.
Yeah, you gotta pick which city fits for you. Now, the reason why I think Atlanta is better for me is, first of all, LA is so expensive, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Fuck yeah.
it's so expensive, and
Seattle's just turning into.
I think
It's turning into fucking California over here.
I actually read
Yeah.
an article that said, I think living in Seattle now, rent is more expensive than LA.
Yep.
I think
Yikes.
yeah. Does that sound about right to you guys?
That sounds about right to
I
me.
fucking
think
believe it.
In the
Yeah.
continental U.S., I think only San Francisco and New York are more expensive.
Yeah.
It's
But-
turning into LA over here, man. We got the
It
bums.
is.
We got the bums already. Now it's time to just hike up all the prices. But so
Yeah.
does Atlanta have like a better opportunity for Asian American actors and then Asian actors in general?
I would say so because my high school, I would say yes, and here's the reason why. So my high school acting mentor, his name is Joe as well.
Too many Joes.
There's
too many Joes.
His old roommate's name was Joe.
My old roommate or his old roommate? 'Cause
Your
my old
old
roommate was
roommate.
named Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good name to have.
Yeah.
But
Biblical, man.
He and his wife and his kid moved to Atlanta about a year ago, and Joe's he's Korean, and he was telling me, in LA it's gonna be so saturated with so many Asian actors
that's
there.
true
It's
for
gonna
sure.
be
Yeah.
super competitive. There's a lot of backstabbing. I mean, it's a film industry, so you're gonna get a lot of
Cutthroat
backstabbing in general, right? But
Music industry just with film.
yeah, and from what I've heard, Atlanta, it's everybody in Atlanta is like there to help each other up. Like one of my friends, she's into acting there, and she said that her and like five of her other friends were auditioning for the same role, and instead of like sitting in the audition room being super quiet and hating each other and stuff like that, instead they were like cheering each other on, supporting each other.
Yeah.
So
there
that's
you go.
great.
There you go.
But
Oh.
it's LA would be so saturated. And Joe was like, in Atlanta there may not be as many roles, but you'll have that niche market. Now, also my friend, she also said that she went to an industry panel about 6 months ago, and she said that at that industry panel for film, somebody raised their hand and said, "Okay, what would you like to see happen more in Atlanta?" And one of the people said, "Asians. We want more Asians in the Atlanta film industry."
Well,
So, I
there
mean,
you go.
I know,
Yeah.
right? There you go. But yeah, so and plus Atlanta's way cheaper. Granted, minimum wage is lower, so it kind of balances out. But yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards Atlanta. Plus, I mean, Joe, my high school acting mentor, his wife, she has both of them have master's degrees in the fine arts. They studied drama at the UW. His wife was telling me, I lived in L.A. for like 6 years, and I could never get an audition for a series regular on a TV show. And she was like, we've been living in Atlanta for about a year, and I've already gotten more than one audition for a series regular on a TV show. So it's like, and plus, there's so much, when I was hanging out with my friends there, all of them who are actors, they were like, oh yeah, I got an audition for this show. Oh yeah, I auditioned for every episode of Better Call Saul. And I actually landed one of the roles on it, but then I couldn't take it because I was in the play. But they're always auditioning for shows, movies, and stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I was on set with Sebastian Stan and stuff like that. And, as much as I love the Seattle film industry, it's mainly corporate video work, like Amazon, Microsoft, which is fun. I've had good experiences. They pay well.
I love those corporate videos, man. It's like, hi, I'm so and so, and who the fuck? Why did you tell me your name? That doesn't mean anything to me.
Just tell me what I need to do. Get the message
and then
across.
It's never addressed. They never talk about their credentials or who they are. They just say like, I'm Phil Donahue or whatever, and like, okay, Phil, good to know. Like,
Don't overload your forklift, or you will tip
The
over
temperature
and you'll
danger
most likely
zone.
fucking die.
oh my god.
That was like the forklift training, dude.
We
It's
should
straight
mention,
up.
because we have been called out for this in the past, that other Joe Ptaz here is in fact an Asian American. He doesn't just like hanging out or is obsessed with Asian culture. Okay?
That's funny.
Yeah,
One of
that
the
was
times,
funny.
one of the
Didn't
times we had Mark on, someone was like, "You guys are being so racist." I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's Mark. I keep saying all this nasty stuff about black people. Like, he's a black man. He's talking about himself. That was not clear.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I am Asian. I'm Chinese. I'm mostly Chinese, but then I took an I'm mostly Chinese. Took an ancestry DNA test like several months ago. So apparently, I'm also 27% Korean and Northern Chinese, whatever that means.
Damn.
I don't know why they would say Korean and Northern Chinese though. Couldn't they just say like you're this percentage of Korean and this percentage Northern Chinese? I mean,
groups. Well, Korea is not really near northern China. That's weird.
I have no clue either, and I'm
That's
Asian.
strange.
I mean,
So
China's a big effing place.
Yeah, it's a
northern
big
China,
country.
like Mongolia, like that region. Like-
maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, if you're wondering why, getting back to Vito's question, why I have the nickname Ptaz. So my
That was gonna be the next
Got
question.
Full
a,
last
got a
name
real
is-
quick interception
Yeah.
though. Mentioning Mongolia, Mongolian metal is really good. Just a side note.
Okay, sure.
It actually is on the up and up. I know what you're talking about.
Mongolian
Yeah.
what?
Mongolian metal music.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard some of that.
It's on the
stuff.
up and
Yeah.
up, man. I'm telling you.
Mongolian
Vito's telling us.
metal. Huh?
So
Alright,
yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, go
Ptaz.
ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Ptaz.
So I'm adopted. So my last name is Potasnik.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think I heard that last time.
Yeah, Joe
yeah.
Potasnik definitely
Joe
sounds
Potasnik.
very Asian.
Yeah.
Christian Sullivan sounds really Mexican.
No one believes me, man. Like, wait, you're telling me that Christian Sullivan is a Mexican man? I'm like, yes, yes, he is.
But yeah, so I'm adopted. So my last name is Potasnik. But when in high school, freshman year, I was on the freshman football team. That was before I got into acting, when I wanted to be a football player in high school. That didn't happen.
Everybody
But,
gets that. Everybody gets that little.
It was fun.
Yeah,
I had a
hell
good
yeah.
time.
I never played
I'm
football.
thankful. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the
Nerds for life
experience.
over here.
I'm glad I
didn't play
played
any
at least
sports.
1 year
Yeah, me neither.
of high school football. But everybody just, well, first of all, everybody just liked to call me Potasnik because they liked the last name Potasnik. It rolls off your tongue pretty well.
It does.
I'm sure there were other Joes around too.
Actually, I think I was only. There's one other Joe, but he was not on the freshman team. But everybody just like calling me Potasnik, and then it just turned into Ptaz somehow. I was like, cool, I'm
All right.
down with that. So
Yeah,
I'm
you've
one
been
with the
Ptaz
flow.
ever since I've known you.
yeah,
Met you back in the Lewis wearing Ocho Cinco jersey days.
I remember that he had his Ocho Cinco jersey.
Always fucking wore it.
I can say as a fellow Joe that people love to give you nicknames because Joe is such a basic bitch of a first name. been
I can't think of a
called
nickname that I had
It's
for
funny.
you.
Rufasa, Roof Dog, Rufio, Sloppy Joe.
Sloppy Joe. I've never gotten that one.
I have really
Got
messy
Jojo
handwriting.
Potato.
Jojo Potato.
Jojo
Potato.
Bro Joe, Slow Joe.
It's funny. People have really tried to give me nicknames and just
But
can't.
Your name's Vito. That's
I know.
unique.
And when you get your
and
samurai shit,
Also, funny about how like names don't necessarily match the race. Vito is Italian name.
Italian.
I'm not. I'm like 0% Italian.
Well,
Yeah.
we talked about the origin of your
yeah,
name.
we've
Yeah,
talked
how-
about the origin
Yeah.
of when I saw
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Vito on the schedule. I was like expecting like hair slicked back, coming in,
Greaseball, yeah.
big
that's-
rings,
Stereotype.
knows how to make a meatball sub real well. Then he goes, "Hey, hey, have you been good to your mother?" That shit's hilarious. Yeah, Joe, when you get your fucking Shogun up and running with your cherry tree, and,
And my machete.
I'm gonna just start calling you Dojo. Dude.
Dojo. Oh, that's a good one.
Joe, yeah.
I have enjoyed anything that you
Samurai
can
Joe.
replace with
Samurai
the
Joe.
word bro, like hey protein shake or bro-tato chip. You can also do that with Joe.
Joe
Joe Tato chip.
Hey, bro, Joe Lincoln. It's a
Yeah.
little weird. That's too much
It'd be
mixing.
a Joe Ham, not a bro Joe. Get out of here. Oh man.
Oh yeah, good old nicknames. I don't have many of them.
Because
I used
again,
to be
Christian
called. I
is
used
a
to be
pretty
called
unique
Sully,
name.
and I didn't like that shit. There's only like two.
You were
people
called
that,
Sully.
There's only like two people that could call me that, and it would be okay. And then Chris is another one that I'm not.
Too
That
fond of.
it's not allowed.
Yeah, you don't really look like a
You
Chris.
don't look like a Chris.
not allowed.
Yeah.
There are folks that will call me Chris that it just naturally sounds okay when they say it. I worked with a guy at Dunn Lumber who didn't know me, but when he found out my name, he just started calling me Chris. But normally I'd be like, "Don't call me Chris." I'm like, "Just don't do it."
It's like
But
when
he
people
would
try
say
and call
it,
me
and
Joey.
it would be like, it'd be so like like kind of like how it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll allow him to say it. And there's only been like 3 or 4 people that I know that could call me Chris without me being like, don't fucking do that shit.
Anytime anyone calls me Joey, I'm like, I mean, I'm not that stereotype of Vito that you had. I'm not a grease
Hey!
bag. Hey,
Joey!
yeah. Joey Fantuzzi or whatever. No. Don't call me Joey. Get out of here.
Fantuzzi.
Whatever.
Why don't you go powder your nose?
How many vowels are in your last name, man? Jesus.
I know that another nickname I had was Blueberry Joe. And that was back in when I went to summer camp in middle school up in Minnesota.
Eat a lot of blueberries.
Were you like a fat kid? Did you look like Violet Beauregard after she ate that gum?
I actually was
built like a blueberry.
In middle school, I was super skinny. I mean, I'm pretty skinny already, but back in middle school, went to summer camp. Great time at Camp Voyager.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Camp Voyager summer camp. You'd stay up in the Minnesota Boundary Waters for a month. You had like that traditional summer camp thing. It was an all boys camp, and you would stay in the cabins, eat in mess hall, stuff like that. But then
Yeah.
stay there for 4 weeks. But every other week, you, a camp counselor, and a few other boys would just take canoes and go canoeing out in the Boundary Waters for 5 or 7 days, and you bring like tents and stuff, and you just be camping in the Minnesota wilderness, and it was great. And
Fucking lot of mooses out there.
Do we
man.
ever talk? Because neither of you have ever been to summer camp. Is that correct? I feel like we talked
Nope.
about this before.
I've never been.
Yeah.
My
Joe, have you
folks
been to
ne-
summer
yeah.
Yes, I went to
Okay,
summer
yeah.
camp every year.
It's fun.
My
great.
folks never paid for that shit.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's such a white kid thing to do, man. Like, we went to summer camp. It was called Camp Vacamus. It was in rural New Jersey, but they had this program that was run by LL Cool J. Weirdly enough,
That's
where
cool.
they'd ship in inner city kids, right? So like Nickelodeon did a special about us in like '93, which I cannot find on YouTube. If anyone can find the Camp Cool J special,
Wait, it's called Camp Cool J.
that's what it was. That was what his program was called.
Okay.
Which
Didn't try
turned
to
out to
find
be
it.
like a tax
Challenge
scheme that his
accepted.
cousin was running or something. But anyways, they'd ship in these inner city kids. So one day, LL Cool J came to camp, and my little sister Renee gave him a hug. It's like, I don't know who that big black man is, but he seems fun. She gave him a hug.
Was he wearing his bucket
He had his-
hat?
Yeah,
thing?
he had his baseball
hell
caps
yeah.
on and shit.
That's
And then, yeah, Oh my god! But it also caused all this strife. Like my cow cabin got, because you're grouped into cabins, got into trouble because somebody pooped in the shower. And we all knew who it was because like they did that old trick where they're like, what do you think we should do to this kid? I'm like, obviously he should get in trouble. He pooped in the shower. And the one kid was like, I don't know, I don't think he should get in that much trouble. It's like, it's clearly you. Everybody knows it's you. Just admit it's you so we can go have fun and stop being like in camp detention or whatever. Man.
Dropping a deuce.
We had the camp talent show one year. This was at a separate summer camp, but so when you start getting into being 12 and 13, summer camp just becomes like a middle school fuck fest, basically. Yeah. I mean, because your counselors are like 15 years old who are just smoking weed. Like, they aren't adults. They're just like slightly older children. So,
Yeah.
They don't care. So the school talent show, this girl was like, all right, my talent is I can tie a cherry stem into a knot in my mouth. And she puts the cherry stem in her mouth and waits like 10 seconds. Like, I can't do it. Jimmy, come help me. And then they just start making out on stage. Her boyfriend. Yeah. Anyways, that's my tales from summer camp.
Yeah, my summers were mainly like hang out and like play like street football, and then stay up all night. See how long we could stay up. That was usually our summers.
My summers were usually playing video games, and then like at night, and then like during the day, I'd just like fucking lay down on the porch and sunbathe.
See, I'm so jealous. That was never allowed. We were not allowed to have like lazy summers like that. My mom wouldn't let it happen. It was
Well,
either
we
like,
had to. I mean, we had to work.
you're
like,
going to summer camp, or you're getting a part-time job, or you're doing something.
I mean,
all I
I
wanted
did
to do.
side gigs, but that's like what I mostly did.
We had to
that's
work,
all I
but
wanted
not
to
like
do.
go get a job, like go out and get a job. But it was like we weren't
I'd go,
allowed
like,
to do
clean up
whatever we
people's
wanted
houses
to
or
do
whatever.
unless we did something productive. So like cleaned up or did a bunch of yard work.
Yeah.
Or,
But even just if I could just have had a week to just do nothing, it would never allowed.
That'd be nice.
Never allowed, man.
dude, these days I would fucking strangle myself to get a week
Yeah,
of just doing nothing.
yeah.
I had to take a day off because I'm getting a new hot water heater put in next Tuesday, and I'm so
Tankless?
excited.
You
No,
want
it's
tankless? Oh,
we talked to the guy, and the way our hot water heater is set up, he's like, okay, the traditional will be about 2K, but I have to do a lot of setup, so we're talking like 15K for the tankless. So I'm not gonna do it.
that makes sense.
It's like in the basement. He'd have to run like an outflow pipe. He said it's gonna be a whole pain in the ass. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Fucking do
But apparently the thing's from '97 and is starting to leak. So I'm like, wow, okay,
97?
yeah, it's time. Yeah, they only last about 15 years.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah,
It's time.
that's
Should
cool.
I know at the beginning of the podcast I talked about how The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is the most overrated Zelda game.
Yeah,
Should I explain myself?
sure.
I think so.
We're at an
That's
hour
the 5. Nintendo 64, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, N64.
Okay.
It is 11:05, Christian. I don't know what time you want us out of here, but it is
11:05.
currently
No, we're
11:05.
fine. I
Okay,
mean, we've got a little bit of time.
cool.
Explain
So
yourself.
why would you say this?
All right, so look, I understand. I understand it's a very good game. I'm not calling it a bad game. I'm just calling it overrated. It's
It's the best one.
like Aaron
You can't be
Rodgers.
overrated.
Not
False.
calling him a bad quarterback, but he's highly overrated.
No way.
Anyway, getting back into it.
anyways. I understand why it's like the first 3D Zelda game, and stuff like
Yep.
that. But the thing is, why I call it. The reason why I'm calling it the most overrated Zelda game is because it's just the same damn game as A Link to the Past. When did A Link to the Past come out? 92, 93?
And that was like the
93, yeah.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
right?
the
That was the
Super
Super Nintendo
Nintendo.
version. Those were fun.
When did Ocarina
Remake's
of Time
coming
come
out this year, 97
Nine-
or
yeah, I was
98,
gonna say
98.
98.
Yeah.
So that's only 5 years late. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but it came out not too long after A Link to the Past. And it's
3D, man.
the same
graphics.
damn story. Basically,
graphics.
you're this dude who's sleeping in bed. You get randomly woken up, and then all of a sudden, you gotta go. You gotta go find 3 different colored gemstones and stuff like
Yep.
that. And then you gotta pull the Master Sword, and then you go to some dark
The
world
future.
place,
You go to the future.
and then
He's
you gotta
not
go,
wrong.
and then you gotta rescue in A Link to the Past, there was 7 maids, and Ocarina of Time it was 7 sages. But
Yeah.
you gotta rescue 7 people,
Yeah.
and then you go save Zelda from Ganondorf,
Ganondorf, who was
in
kicked out
Ocarina
of the
Time.
Gerudo village for not being a woman. Zelda lore. Come on, they basically invented the modern action adventure game. Plus those re-deads when you're in the Temple of Time right after
Yeah.
Full of Masters is the fucking scariest thing in any video game ever.
The big mummies, the brown mummies.
No, the zombies that like shamble until they get the foot
Yeah,
away from
yeah,
you and
yeah.
then jump on your face. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I think I mentioned last time on the Lost episode.
The lost
the
episode.
lost
Where-
episode.
Oh, sorry, wrong lost.
I thought that this sort of thing was like very similar to what I would say is like a Final Fantasy VII syndrome, where it's because of the time it came out, a lot of the people in our generations sort of like grew up with that version of Zelda or this version of Final Fantasy. And so even though like some of the other games that may have came before it might have been better or
they are lost to time.
Final Fantasy is definitely like
But didn't
very derivative of itself, like almost like Pokemon,
that's
Yeah.
true? Well, it's not just Pokemon.
Not nearly as bad as Pokemon, yeah. But
Didn't you say 7 was your favorite though?
but yeah, but I think it's sort of like 7 is my favorite, but I also sort of agree that like what was it, like 4 or 6 or something, it was like really, really good, if not better.
10 is the best. 10 is the best. The non MMO ones, 10 is the best.
I'm guilty as charged when it comes to playing games that are the same game. All right,
Yeah, Call of Duty.
I would
bro.
know something about this subject
Yeah.
because I play Call of Duty no matter what year it is, except for Infinite Warfare. I didn't play that crock of shit.
Are you following?
Would you
yeah.
say-
Oh yeah, Madden came out. Did you get the new Madden? It came out this week. Like
Not
yesterday.
yet. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for it to go on super sale
So,
so I can
like,
build my ultimate team.
February.
Christian, I have a question.
No way, dude. Madden's going to be going on sale soon
December?
because the sales are going down. Sale numbers are going down on release date for games like Madden. So what they're going to do is they're going to release it at full price now. People are going to be suckers and buy it. But people like me know that the decline of Madden is here. So they're going to release like the super mega bunker busting Patrick Mahomes MVP superstar $130
Edition,
version of
whatever,
Madden
yeah.
for $45
See,
in like a month.
But in
And I'm gonna
December,
get
that $140 edition will be like $20. That's true. Yeah.
And then plus, like, it would be nice to allow teams to develop a little bit before you actually start playing Madden, because they have new players in, and the rating system is so fucking bad.
So
EA,
yeah.
you guys are fucking retarded.
I
Like, I'm seeing this,
Jesus
and
Christ.
dude, it's you get like you go okay. I mean, for instance, let's just say you get a player like, it's tough because you guys don't really watch football as much as I do. But when it comes to
I don't
like,
think anyone in the world watches football as much as you, man.
all right, so let's say this, Von Miller. All right, what would you say he should be ranked?
99.
I can't give you an answer because I watch a lot of football, but I don't play Madden very often.
Yeah. So
So I would say, I'll let you go.
More like let's say 92.
So what they did in this game was, instead of making him like, maybe not putting him in the 99 club, but instead of making him like a 98 or a 97,
Yeah.
they let's just, I'm not saying that this is what he's really ranked, but they would drop him down to like an 89, which is a bullshit for
80s?
Von Miller.
Yeah.
But then they would be like, but wait a minute, he's got a superstar X Factor trait that makes him like a 98. It's like, I don't give a fuck about your superstar super
God,
trait
this
of a
conversation is
swim
so
move. It's
dorky.
like, just incorporate it in his player and make him a fucking 98. I don't need to hear this superstar shit. And they make, everybody is generally this year in the 70s and the 60s when it comes to ratings.
Oh, so they knocked it down their average then.
Everybody is down in the 70s and the 60s.
That's cool.
And so what it is if you don't have a superstar trait, you're getting housed. So now what it is the big system for Madden for players on Ultimate Team was get like a cheap ass 68 overall like Tyreek Hill, but he's got like a 98 speed. Mm-hmm. So you put him on the outside and he burns every fucking
Yes, the
cornerback.
speed stat has been broken for a while, for sure.
So now what they'll do is you'll pick up a 68 Tyreek Hill with a 98 speed, and you'll be going against a cornerback that has like an X Factor trait, and that X Factor trait is going to ultimately keep up with your 68, 99 speed Tyreek Hill. So you could have like Patrick Peterson, who's had a great career, but he's on his he's old, so he's on his
like
way out.
30, right?
He does not have a
29.
99
ancient.
speed.
30
by,
years old.
by NFL standards.
He doesn't have a 99 speed. He can't keep up with Tyreek Hill. But in this game, just because Patrick Peterson is Patrick Peterson, Tyreek Hill is fucking flypaper. Or Patrick Peterson's flypaper to Tyreek. And that's just because he's a 68 and doesn't have a superstar trait. And so, Russell Wilson's got one that's like scramble hero or
ability,
some shit. So you get to dodge the first sack. Like
Okay.
your percentage of dodging the first sack is like way up there. So you can
Okay.
shake off the first defender.
Yeah.
But usually in Madden, when you get sacked, it's not just one guy, it's your offensive line and 3 defensive players collapsing on each other because the animations suck. So anyway,
I like hearing Christian talk about Madden because it's secretly like the super dorky RPG and he doesn't realize it. Well, you see,
I mean,
your
it really
dodge rate is way higher, but only for the first instance. After that,
it's a fucking
it goes
card
way
game,
down.
dude. You're just playing when you play Ultimate Team, it's a fucking card game.
Are you following, like, we're like an hour, 15 minutes. We should probably start to wrap soon, but I do have one question for you, Christian. Have you been following the Modern Warfare reboot controversy, specifically the white phosphorus controversy
Yes,
right now?
absolutely. And I think people need to fucking chill out. It's a video game.
It's
Calm the fuck
so,
down.
do you two know about this?
I've heard
No.
about yeah.
Vito? Okay. So, Call of Duty has kill streak rewards, right?
Yeah.
One of the kill streak rewards this year is white phosphorus. White phosphorus is a chemical where if you drop it on a civilian area, it's considered a war crime because of how badly it
Bad
burns
Wars,
you.
Yeah.
And now it's being advertised as a reward in a Call of Duty game that's literally supposed to be as realistic as possible. So people are like, maybe rebrand some of the
It's
phrasing
supposed to.
here.
I mean, it's a kill streak, so it's supposed to help you get back into the game. Because if you don't have kill streaks, people who suck at Call of Duty, like let's just say Vito one day wants to pull up a Call of Duty game and play it.
I'm not.
And he's not
opposed-
used to shooters, and he goes out there and he's getting fucking spawn trapped, and he doesn't know
yeah.
what the fuck is happening. So then you get kill streaks to help you out. So you get like boosted up speed or boosted up health,
Right.
and now you get things like white phosphorus gas. Call of Duty has not messed around with. Sorry, they have messed around with poisonous gas in every other game, and now they're like, well, it's white phosphorus now, so I don't like it. It's like, dude, you were literally throwing a fucking chemical bomb at somebody in Black Ops 1, and now you have a problem?
Yeah, but like I said, white phosphorus is literally a war crime. Like, couldn't it have just been like a smoke grenade if that's the effect you're going for? Like, they could have called it anything else. That's my point.
Dude,
I'm not opposed to the idea of a kill streak. I mean,
it's so the realism in the game is going to be mainly in the campaign, and I think
Yes.
Call of Duty shouldn't tone down their video game if they want to make it a realistic war game. If they want to be taken seriously, don't tone down your realistic war game, because then you're gonna.
but you have to separate out the multiplayer then, because like what they're trying to build is the most realistic, like this shit's super fucked up game ever, and then but they still have this multiplayer game attached where they're giving like, hey, come use a chemical weapon on civilians. Like these things are so disparate. They shouldn't even have called this game Call of Duty. They should have taken that single player campaign
Multiplayer
out.
doesn't have. They're not going to have civilians in the multiplayer. It never does. It never has.
I know, but
But-
you're
so
still,
that's like
fighting
why-
in civilian areas.
That's why they give you white.
There's still
phosphorus.
maps that are civilian areas.
Well,
So
sure,
there's
but
an
if people are trying to
implication that
say
there's
that,
civilians around.
if people are trying to say, hey, the civilians that aren't in this map present and physically there, but they're in those houses that are drawn, don't throw white phosphorus gas. No, it's fucking, it's bullshit, dude.
I'm
People
just saying
shouldn't
that
be getting mad
their
at it.
marketing is fucked up because, like I said, the single player campaign is supposed to be the super gritty and fucked up thing, and then the multiplayer is what it's always been. So they need to separate their messaging.
The
and they're
multiplayer
failing
looks so
at that. That's what
fucking
I'm
nice.
getting at.
I think
The
yeah, go ahead.
mechanics in that look so fucking nice, dude. What were you gonna say?
Honestly, I think it's okay if they keep the white phosphorus in it too. And here's why: because I think this may sound brutally honest, but I think people can separate. I would hope. I know people. The majority of us can separate between reality and fiction. I say that from same things, issues happen in movies and TV shows as well. There's a lot of, dark things that, filmmakers can put in their movies, but I think that there's definitely a point where average dude like Christian playing a video game can say, okay, I know this is morally wrong. I'm against it if it actually happens to some person in real life, but I can separate that this is a video game. Now, I can understand maybe your perspective where it's like you're making white phosphorus fun.
Exactly.
I can see that perspective, but that I still come back to the argument of I think people can separate fact from fiction. Now, I also know that media does have an effect on real life, but I don't think in this regard with white phosphorus and a game like Call of Duty is going to have that much of an effect of where some dude like Christian's like, well, I'm going to go buy some white phosphorus.
I'm going to go get white phosphorus gas.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think usually when media has an effect on somebody, it's like, in my real life experience, seeing like, Asian nerdy guy on a movie or TV show and being like, seeing that a lot and being like, well, is that what people are going to think of me when I go to school and stuff? Or are other people like my other classmates going to start thinking about me because they see this Asian nerd guy on the TV show? But I don't think it'll come back to the point of white phosphorus. And usually when you do see people who do play violent video games and violent TV shows and they go and commit a violent act, I think usually those people, I don't think that white phosphorus or something else like that. I think there's more of a big underlying cause under
there's
that.
a bigger problem than violent video games.
The main actual cause, in my opinion, of those kinds of situations is mental illness.
Yes.
And
it all starts at home, man.
All
starts at home.
And also the I can't think of the word for it, but like the stigma around taking care of your mental illness and mental health in America. Like, it's almost a bad thing to go see a doctor about your mental health because then that's saying that you're insane.
Well, I mean, that's the running joke, right?
Is sort of what it is.
The availability of guns isn't the problem for mass shootings. It's mental health. Okay, let's talk about universal health care. No.
I know, right?
But I want to get back to this point because my point is not that, this is going to... There's no link between... I know there's no link between violence and violent media. My only point here is that, if your messaging on this game is that this is going to be a gritty look at the moral and ethical implications of war and, civilians getting caught in the crossfire. And at the same time, you're advertising this, let's go kill people because it's fun. Here's some white phosphorus as a reward, LOL, on the same product. It is mixed messaging and it's confusing.
Wait, here's the thing. People are upset that you're killing somebody with white phosphorus gas, but you're not upset that your main purpose in that game on multiplayer is shooting people.
Well, that's my point, though. The whole messaging is.
So I think that's where there's a sort of a cognitive dissonance going on right now in the conversation.
Exactly.
Joe's actually talking about separating the multiplayer and single player rather than specifically.
So what about airstrikes?
All of the multiplayer and the rewards, it should just be separate entirely.
He's saying that the multiplayer should be separate from the single player as entities.
Right.
Because the multiplayer is the fun, go shoot around, airstrike, white phosphorus, blow people up, fucking go hog wild. And the single player is the serious, take things seriously, almost RPG element of the game. And to have those two completely different types, those two different feels of game be attached to the same title.
It's literally the same product. It's not just the same name, it's the same game.
On it is,
So then what's your message here, Is this a game about how war is devastating and the moral implications of it? Or is the point that, hey, I love blowing shit up?
Call of Duty is definitely trying to reestablish its name and its purpose. Because Call of Duty used to be, what started off as World War II games, correct?
Yes.
And so the one thing that I see is the more that they tone down and dumb down their video game, the less serious they're going to be taken. And I think that the less serious games are like Black Ops, where they fucking throw a gorilla in. You can play as a gorilla,
like the animal,
in an astronaut suit in blackout mode.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, it makes sense because it's blackout. It's a standalone game, and it's it's goofy. They have dumb modes, and it's fun. It's all about having fun. They're trying to bring back in the realistic type of style, like Modern Warfare, like Call of Duty 4 did when it came out. When that game came out, it distanced itself from your average first-person shooter game, and it kind of brought you into a sense of, holy shit, you're playing as Marines and you're fighting in Iraq.
But even that comparison,
holy
like
shit.
even that game was like a military fantasy. The real comparison for the single player campaign is Spec Ops: The Line. Have any of you played that game or heard of it?
And those
heard of
games are
it, yeah.
terrible.
No, that game is awesome.
Which ones?
Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, for some reason I'm thinking about the Navy SEAL games.
No, SOCOM. No.
Yeah,
So
SOCOM.
Spec Ops: The
Thank you.
Line is the
Okay.
same basic idea. Like it's super gritty look, and like they do drop white phosphorus in that game, and then like you have to deal with the implications of like people's skin melting off around you, and it's super fucked up. Like, so my point is, you can't have this gritty story. Like, I understand. Like, it honestly feels like the creators want to make this gritty, realistic game, but Activision or whoever is like, but you need the multiplayer though, because that's what makes us all the
what makes
fucking
the
money.
money.
So it's essentially two products under the same name that are being marketed completely differently.
So, but I mean, Call of Duty has always distanced its campaign from its multiplayer. It's nothing new. So if you played Call of Duty World War II, I have no idea why they did this, but in the campaign, there's swastikas all over buildings because you're playing in Europe. And it's World War II. There were fucking swastikas everywhere in Europe. It's just how it was. But then when you play online, they took them out. So they only had the Iron Cross, which is not only historically inaccurate, but they took it down to dumb down their multiplayer experience because they know that. So the game's rated M. It's supposed to be for adults, but kids play it. Everybody knows that. So they took the swastikas out because it's hate speech, but they left it in their campaign. It's fucking dumb. It's a fucking video game. Put it in there. The thing is they're getting scared and they're getting.
Well, you also can't sell it in Germany if there's swastikas in it.
I mean, sure, but you can also have a different release for European. I mean, whoever wants to ban it, but Europe's got stupid ban problems anyway, and I think they need to stop being such pussies and stop allowing banning things in art. The more you start toning down art, the less creativity you get, and the less these guys want to go out there and push boundaries. Video games are supposed to be pushing boundaries. Rockstar Video Games has been pushing boundaries since they've started. They had a fucking game called State of Emergency where
It was terrible.
you go into a mall and shoot everybody that's in the mall. It's a fucking active shooter video game, but that was never an issue, you know. And then let's think about, if you want to talk about poisonous gases, Command and Conquer. It's a rated T game, so teenagers can play it, and you play as the Iraq army, and you can get fucking anthrax gas missiles and drop it, and that game actually has civilians. And you can kill civilians with your anthrax missiles, and nothing happens. So people, chill the fuck out. Video games, dude.
Chill the F.
If you don't want to play it,
out.
don't play it. And then if you want to give me the argument of, well, my kid plays Call of Duty, and I don't want to see him throwing poisonous phosphorus gas. Well, the game is rated M. If you're too scared to let your kid play a fucking video game, don't let him play it.
Yeah, I think sort of Joe's more conversation point, though, was less
Joe
on...
had a better conversation point than
Yeah.
I've heard. And Joe's conversation point was,
more of a separation of,
Yes.
of entities rather than like a actual argument over the...
and that makes
other
sense.
stuff.
Joe's argument makes sense. There's a
Yeah.
lot of arguments on this poisonous gas shit that doesn't
I
make
feel
any
like it's
sense.
almost a non-talking point on the censorment shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But I think Joe, you got to remember, this is Call of Duty we're talking about.
I
now.
know.
It's
Well, that's why it's so
but
weird.
I mean, it's Activision.
It's
Wouldn't you
so-
think they'd be like, oh, we want to make more money. Let's have a $60 single-player game and a $60 multiplayer
Right?
game.
Exactly.
but that's what they have, and that's what they're getting in this one.
But it's a
because there's-
single package. He's saying separate them out into two separate.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Which honestly would solve all of my
So,
like cognitive dissonance complaint about this whole thing.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a suspense of disbelief that you can't do between the two games, right?
yeah,
just think you guys are
exactly,
overthinking the-
exactly.
standard shooter game.
I mean, this is
Well,
the,
that's what
the,
you
the
that's what
Tomb
they
Raider
want you
reboot.
to do with the single player.
This is the Tomb Raider
Yeah,
reboot problem,
if
right?
they want you to suspend disbelief for the multiplayer, they shouldn't have that
Yes,
serious
exactly. That's my
single
point.
player.
Like, it felt weird from the beginning that they're pitching this like hyper realistic, morally gray Call of Duty game as a Call of Duty game that still has all that multiplayer kill streak stuff. Like
It's gonna be fucking.
it's
sick,
weird.
dude.
It's just
Like
weird.
they should have Call of Duty, blah 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 as single player, right? And then Call of Duty, blee.
Honestly, they
as
shouldn't even call it
multiplayer.
Call of Duty. Like, just it's
Well,
so
even if like-
different than any other Call of Duty game has
It's
ever
called.
been.
It's, I mean, it's
It should
technically just
Like
called
they
Modern
still want
Warfare.
to use.
Okay.
It's
like-
technically Modern Warfare. It's not really. They're not really
Yeah.
saying. I mean, it's a Call of Duty game.
Yes.
But they're
Yeah.
really,
Fast
really
and Furious
saying.
presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
This is a Hobbs and Shaw situation when it comes
Okay.
to Call of Duty franchise games. Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty fucking World War II, Call of Duty Modern fucking Warfare. They have a whole bunch of different things. And Modern Warfare, this is not the first time that Call of Duty has pushed the boundaries on controversial things.
That's not. This is so different than anything else they've done. That's my point. It's just, I know about the No Russian Level. I know about all of that. I know how the rebranding and all the micro series.
poisonous
This
gas nuke
one
in
is
Paris.
nothing like any of those. That's my
But
point.
I know, and I think that's what makes me excited for this game is because it's gonna be fucking sick. I can't wait. I can't wait for if they're really pushing the realism. I can't wait to see how the mechanics work in a, quote unquote, realistic shooter. It's gonna be interesting, And I think that the multiplayer trailer released, it looks fucking awesome. The mechanics look good. The game looks good. I love the idea of having it be a more in the dark night vision style of fighting, and you
Yeah.
have to use your team. They're trying to build a team-based video game here, like Ghost Recon
yeah.
or Rainbow Six Siege. They're trying to build that kind of where you have 4 versus 4,
Right.
and you have classes and shit like that, and you gotta like one person has to hide the hostage, the other person has to kill him, just like Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So I think so. Bottom line, we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I was
but-
gonna say we gotta start to wrap.
We're gonna wrap it up here, but bottom line, it's gonna be exciting. I mean, I'm really, really excited for this game, and I can't wait to just power through this campaign and really see. I just really hope that they don't dumb it down because people are
Are
complaining.
you
about
actually
it,
gonna
people are
finish this
scared.
one? Or are you gonna get a third of the way through and give up? A la Red
It's
Dead
Call of
2?
Duty, man. I could finish
A la
it. In
Red
like,
Dead 2.
I could finish Call of Duty in like 3 or 4 hours.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
true.
Joe or Ptaz.
Wait, before we go, I have one
Yep.
question.
Oh.
Do you guys know where I can find a veterinarian? Because these pythons are sick.
Oh my god,
I'm wearing a tank top today, listeners.
a Joe tank, a bro tank.
Joe Tank.
Joe
There you
Tank.
go. Joe Tank.
I
So,
look like I would
Ptaz,
be trying to
yeah.
sell you weed
Thank you
outside
so
of
much
fish
for joining
taco
us
stand
today,
in Southern
man. I
Thank
California.
you for having me.
Sorry about that mishap that happened last time,
It's all
but
good. Shit happens.
this time got in here. We had a great show. Can't
Yeah.
fucking wait.
I actually think this episode is better than the Lost episode. So
We didn't have
Sometimes
as
it
much
just happens.
discussion about how hard it is to make it as a creative and finding your passion, but sure.
That's true. But that's why this episode's called Trader Joe's.
So
Trader
supersized too,
Jose's.
90-minute, man.
But alrighty, folks.
All
I'm
right.
Christian,
Thank you
joined
for
here
having me.
by Joe,
Hello. Or
Vito,
goodbye, I guess.
See ya.
and Ptaz.
what's up?
Thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next episode.